Hello! Sorry for the delay. We're here.
This is why we shouldn't do early morning live shows.
I love it, and I'm sorry about that. If I'd known they were going to cancel on me, I would have.
I'll have you know I've been awake for 4 hours.
I've been awake for 20 minutes.
I woke up because Briar stepped on my cheek.
Ooh.
I woke up at 5:30.
Why?
To organize.
Oh my god.
So early.
I wanted to get a bunch done I wanted to get all my books in here this morning to absorb some of the sound so it wouldn't be so echoey. So I was like, if I do all of that before, and then I can start organizing my books right after.
Smart.
At least that's a fun project. Like doing bookshelves is just fun.
Right. It's going to be the
You're
most
not dreading it.
Yeah, there's some of the parts that are like the sections of things that are less organized that I'm really dreading doing.
Right.
I got woken up by a very loud beeping right outside my window at 8 a.m. because they finally came to take all of the hurricane detritus that was piled up on the side of the road away.
No.
It's been over a month. Gotta love Florida. I also love that I'm drinking out of my Do Not Disturb mug while actively being online.
All right. How's everyone this morning other than tired?
I'm not tired. I'm just mad.
I have COVID.
Yeah.
So not great.
Not the best.
But if you notice, I can actually talk today.
We're doing better than we were a couple days ago.
I took your advice and just like barely spoke. So.
Yeah.
We'll take what we can get.
The vocal rest is amazing.
So today we are having an Avengers live show. We did not have a live show for the last set of things.
Because a lot of things happened at the beginning of September.
A lot of things happened. I take a lot of the blame. I take a lot of the blame because it was supposed to be on my channel, and then I didn't get to finish the book because I lost a puppy. So it was like a chaotic beginning of the month, and then it just kept getting further and further, and more and more things kept happening.
Well, September's weird because it's like the last month that we can really do things like outside, and so like every weekend, it's like there was something going on,
right?
Because like currently, I'm in hibernation weekend because it's raining and snowing, and I'm like I'm not leaving my house.
I agree to this.
Yeah.
Me too. I have stuff to do.
So if it could fuck off forever, that'd be great.
Seriously.
So before we get into this month's stuff, does anybody have anything from the last one that they didn't get to share that they wanted to say? We had Loki. We had a boss battle, which I had intention.
I had every intention of doing.
And then we had The Darkness Outside Us.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful book.
Yeah, one of the best.
Great. I very much enjoyed.
That's right.
It had a great twist element to it that I wasn't expecting. Like, I thought the whole not remembering things from something totally different. Like, I expected it to be a totally different thing.
What?
I don't remember August. I don't remember why. I know I read the book because I remember reading the book. I remember being lost in my car reading the book, but like, I don't remember August.
You're also like in COVID brain fog right now.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
The other day, I want everyone to know the other day Margaret messaged this chat and was like, yeah, and one of us has COVID. And I was like, oh my God, who? Who has that?
Good job, Cal. Good job.
I've been so unproductive at work. Like, is this how people just feel? Like when they get like, you know, Is this how like dumb people just go about their lives? Like just like I can't get everything done, and like I just
Why in the first place? Why are you working?
because I don't have any sick days.
They don't just give you sick days?
I used them all for my surgery in January.
Mm.
I feel like if you have COVID, you should not have to work. Because
Well,
your productivity is drastically decreased.
Unpaid days off, or I could just work at the capacity of like a regular person without my superpower autism brain.
That's fair.
But it was just like it took me like a whole day to write an article.
Yeah. You're like, this is an hour project.
I know. Is like I just don't get it. It wasn't even
Be careful about that because they're showing that like having COVID brain fog lasts longer than you've got COVID is partly due to like pushing yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, well.
Yeah, I understand why they like if you were going into the office, they'd probably be like, "Yeah, don't come in."
No, I'm not allowed in the office for sure. And they told me that like I could take as many unpaid days as I wanted, and they weren't going to penalize me for it, but it's still unpaid.
Yeah, but that sucks.
Yeah, I know, but it is what it is.
I feel like you shouldn't have a certain amount of sick days. Vacation days, I get, but you shouldn't have a specific amount of sick days.
You are not wrong, Brianna.
I agree with that. It's a
Because
little
like
too,
and that should apply to sick days for you
or your child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Like I just feel like it's just fueling that like capitalism mindset of
well, and it's
you know, work until you die.
Yeah. Like six days
is not
That's
enough.
not very much.
That's like one every
That's 1 week.
If you have a chronic disability or something, like
Yeah.
you're fucked. Like you're fucked. And I know people who have gotten COVID more than once this year.
Right.
Like, I had mine all used up by the day I started work this year because my surgery was on January 4th. So all my sick days were gone, but before I even started my job this year. Like
That sucks.
Even returned. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is that like if you're on like if you have something like a surgery, you should have like extended.
It's a different situation, right? Like it's not like I'm sick, maybe I can come back tomorrow. It's like there's pumps physically attached to my nipples right now, okay? Pumping out blood.
Does Canada have like short-term disability?
Yeah, we do.
Is that the same thing as sick days?
No. So you have to have been off for 2 weeks before you can apply for it.
Oh.
Yep. And you have to have a letter from your physician being like, no, they can't work for like I'm saying they need to take a month off or something.
Gotcha.
So for in the case of COVID, if I was really, really ill with COVID, like if I couldn't recover, I might call my doctor. And for my surgery, the surgeon was like, max 2 weeks off. Like, I think you probably will be fine after one. And I was. So it wasn't a big deal. But when I've taken it for mental health leave before, when I was going through like a really, really bad mental health period, I called my doctor. He was like, yeah, take a month off. Like,
that's a bummer you have to work. Like, because I took short-term disability because I took a week off when I blew out my knee a couple years ago.
Right.
And it was just like my doctor was like, okay, you can't like bend over, like you can't bend down, and which is like was part of as an inspector, like that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so they just immediately put me on short-term disability.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I made that's one of the few extras that I pay for on my benefits. Like I'm not like a lot of it I'm like healthcare, and then the short, especially because like if I got COVID, chances are it will knock me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you already have diminished lung capacity. So
just the regular cold that I got in March of 2020 lasted 3 weeks.
Wow.
And that was past when I was sick. What? That is such a Tennessee thing to say, Bruce.
I don't even think that COVID has hit my lungs that hard. It's just been like,
it's not hitting people's lungs as hard anymore.
Especially if they were vaccinated.
Yeah,
they are saying make sure that you see your doctor after to just get a really good physical and checkup just to catch any issues. Okay.
My doctor's an hour and a half away. I am going for like if there's a problem. I'm an if there's a problem kind of gal.
Okay.
Yep. I will yeah, listen, they've already had to chase me about a pap smear, Margaret. It's not I'm not going in because I got baby COVID 3 years into the pandemic. And this isn't even like the bad COVID, okay? This is like COVID's kid that like tried.
Oh, all right, y'all are back. Yay.
What?
I lost y'all for a hot minute.
Oh,
Oh.
missed my spiel.
I didn't do that right. Yeah, I missed your spiel. I was out at. They had to chase me
For a pap smear. They're like, you need one of those. I was like, nah. No.
Yeah, but that's awful.
You know.
That's awful.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna stretch that as long as I can in between.
I brought up, like, talked to my doctor about when I would need to do that. This most recent time I saw her, and she's like, oh, that what happened the last time you had one? Okay, no. We're gonna like, she's like, well, we will have a plan in place. I'm gonna send
Once
you
you
guys
turn 30, you only have to do it every 3 years.
I think 5
right.
because I'm not sexually active.
Oh, it may be, yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, I was 30, 31 or 32 before I got my first. But it did come back.
I'm not 30, and I have it every 3 years, and I am sexually active, kind of. I'm like gay sexually active. I don't know what the government counts that for.
I think that's a discussion you need to have with your doctor about, what the risks are.
Well, because they will ask you before you give blood if you've had like gay sex, but not if you've had like P.
That's because the government is still
exactly. So I don't know if they mean like penis and vagina sex for pap smear or just like any sex for pap smear, right? Because like
I'm pretty sure it's any because you can still pass it.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yes. But
unless
also you only have
exclusively a top, like.
But you also have like exclusive partners, which also like decreases your risk of STDs.
Yeah.
This conversation is only 12 minutes long. That's all I need to
Listen, we haven't started talking about dogs yet.
We have talked about
I don't even know why we're on this right now. I keep forgetting what we're doing here.
Listen,
This is what happens when we haven't talked in a while.
Oh man.
We're gonna give you other options so you don't have to deal with that. Go through that again. Because I definitely had it's not an uncommon experience, but it is an outlier experience. Bree's like, bye.
Bree's like, bye. I'm done.
Okay, let's talk about why What If isn't a good show.
Guess who didn't watch it? I completely forgot.
You're not missing anything.
You're not. It's not good.
It's really. I mean, like, it's an interesting thought experiment, but like, I don't like the fact that it's animated.
I love the animation. I thought the animation was great.
I just don't like animated shows.
Fair. I just thought, okay, at first it seemed like they were actually leaning into What If one-offs, and then they had to make it into a Marvel Cinematic Universe event.
Yeah, it was
just, I was so once it all started connecting to stuff, I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, like I liked the fact that they were like individual, although at the same time it made it very easy to skip them.
But that's kind of what I wanted. I kind of wanted to be like, okay, like maybe I go watch the Zombies episode 14 times because I like the Zombies episode, and I never watched the Doctor Strange episode ever again.
No.
But then they all got important, and now it's going to be important in like the movies. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Is it?
Like, no, but you know what I mean?
Like they tried to make it important in the Doctor Strange movie, but like not really.
I mean, I think it's like that's how a lot of Elseworlds. That's not. Oh my God, what is the Marvel equivalent of the DC Elseworlds? Like the multiverse. That's how a lot of them get started, is like one-off what if type things. So they may have been experimenting with ideas for that. Now the fact that they made it into a Marvel event, like that's not what it
was disappointing because it took what felt like a genuine idea of creativity
mm-hmm.
into like okay, cool. It's just to sell more merch, like just to sell more shit. Like,
what do you think any of these are? All of
Listen,
them.
at least they can connect and make a singular unit. So we do know that they still know how to do that, because in this current phase of
they don't.
Avengers,
They
I don't know what's going on.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't need Agent Carter or Captain Carter to come back 18 times. I was like, that's an awesome episode as a standalone. Maybe do 2 episodes of it and leave it there. Like, I don't need it to come back in Doctor Strange. I don't need it to come back in whatever.
I thought it was really cool that it came back to
T'Challa episode. It doesn't need to be an expanding thing. I hated the Doctor Strange episode. I love the zombies episode. You know what I mean? Like, I think they could have just done a bunch of seasons of like asking any question, never having them connect, and just having like the Thor bro party episode was fucking fun.
Yeah, I liked that one.
But now that it has to like connect to stuff, it's like, oh, we have to actually take this seriously.
Yeah. Well, then that's the thing. Like, I think at first it just felt fun. It felt like, you know, they almost like they were playing a Mad Libs episode.
Yeah.
And I was so cool with that until they were like, but guess what? There's an overarching plot going on. I was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm doing something incorrect right now. Oh, that's not. Anyways, yeah, sorry. I completely, you know, when we're not having dedicated days that I am supposed to be setting time aside to watch these shows, I forget that I have to watch them. Like, I totally forgot what I'm.
But, like, also, this one was fine to skip. Like, it really
if we did the live show, I had just watched Loki, like, a few weeks ago.
But Loki is good.
Loki's a great show.
Of the like post like Disney Plus shows, Loki is my favorite.
Loki and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then probably Hawkeye. I liked Hawkeye a lot too.
Mine would probably be Loki, then Hawkeye. I don't know. I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I have to be in a like specific mood for it.
It's not, Loki you could watch 800 times in a row. And
like
never get
Loki
bored.
You can watch when you are having a bad mental health day, just for
it makes you feel better.
Just for Loki and the chaos.
I actually will. I'll watch the first 2 episodes, or I'll watch the last episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I have to skip sometimes the episodes in the middle where they're really seriously mad at each other, because I'm like, no, like, ah! So I'll just go back to when they're rolling in a field hating each other. And I'm like, oh. Ooh, okay. Ooh, all right. Or I'll just watch that end barbecue scene, like the cookout scene. I'll just watch it, and I'll be like, but Loki, I'll watch the whole series over and over again.
No.
Yeah. What if I have watched the first time and never again, and I never intend on watching it again?
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, it's a thing that happened.
It's a show that exists, and we watched it.
But like, we could have put this effort into something else. You know, that's how I feel about it. Is like, it's fine, but like, we could have, you know, put our time and money and effort into something else.
I do really like Star-Lord T'Challa, though.
I was at the store and I saw the Starchala pop, the Funko Pop, and I was like, oh, do I get it? Do I not get it? Do I get it? Do I not get it?
That's so funny. That's interesting, because I think one of the interesting things about Marvel is like they have so many different things. So like there really is something for everyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Like you've got the big typical superhero movies. You have the weird stuff like the Eternals. You have like super thought experimenty stuff like What If for the people who are like really into it. Like that's for the stuff people who are really comic people.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like some people love that show.
Yeah.
Didn't work for me.
Yeah, it's not, like I said, it's not my favorite thing, but it's not the worst show that exists.
There's something about.
Is it the worst Disney Plus Marvel show though?
Probably would agree with that.
No.
I mean, Moon Knight exists.
I would argue Moon Knight.
Yeah,
that's true.
I hate that show. I don't even think I finished that.
She-Hulk better than I like What If though. Yeah, and that's probably controversial because a lot of people really didn't like She-Hulk. So
okay, I actually did like She-Hulk.
I liked it after the first episode. I thought the first episode was shit, and then it was good.
I liked it for what it was. Like, it's not anything fantastic, but I really liked how meta it was.
It took its genre and it rolled with it, and it like committed to a thing. Yeah,
and you know what? It was very feminist.
It was, and I liked the.
Rose has exactly the opposite opinions for everything.
Well, Rose, I don't know what to tell you other than hating Loki is an anti-bisexual hate crime. So I'm sorry, I don't know.
What? Oh, sorry, I missed that.
I'm kidding.
That's okay. I will say, like, in the grand scheme of Marvel, like the shows these past 2 years, I guess it was, is they all have such a different feel.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
Yeah. Like, they
Except,
really tried to play with like every single genre.
Mm-hmm.
I would have preferred deeply if they had a second season of certain shows before first seasons of every show.
Like Moon Knight.
Yeah, like the production and stuff that went into some of these things, we could have had Loki season 2 sooner.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, I think Tom Hiddleston was doing something else at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do have to account for actors. I mean,
so they probably were like, "Oh crap, Tom's busy. Yes,
we'll make nothing we could possibly do that would be this good. Oh, we might as well throw it a stinker."
This is a filler episode.
So, I asked my brother if there'd been any updates last night, and he got on to react to something else I said, and then completely, once I asked him if there'd been any updates on his job, he just stopped and left the chat, and I'm like, "Oh man, you ghosted me this morning," and he's like, "It's only been a day since we talked," and I'm like, "You ran away like a little boy when I asked about your job."
Is he still planning on moving down there?
So the contract that he has is with the military. And so it is going to take a while for him to get that contract because it's the military.
Baby needs his snuggles.
Oh, I love baby. He's a big baby now.
He's a big baby.
So, anyways.
Good morning.
But yes, the plan is still, like, they're telling him he still has the job. They're just waiting for the contract. But we've been in limbo for like a month and a half at this point.
Yikes.
What is the excited face, Prowl?
I'm so confused how he got here.
Yeah, because my brother
Because Margaret has ADHD. And
I was checking to see. I thought Michelle had texted me back, but in fact, it was my brother.
Oh, okay.
And he's complaining about me being like, "You ran away when I asked you personal questions and stopped talking about D&D."
Oh, the boss battle.
Haha.
Oh, back to what it. Oh, the boss battle.
The boss battle. The zombies.
I started it.
I didn't finish it because I got COVID right in the middle of it.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I did start it. I finished the first 2 prompts.
Nice.
Yeah.
I started to try to start it. Not started it, but started to try to start it. I even bookmarked off my 100 pages. I posted my.
You have a bot.
I see that.
Fuck off, bot. Unless you're Ultron, we don't want you. Free girls in the city.
In U City. The only free girl in my city that I'm interested in is if it is Taylor Swift for free.
Oh wait, no, look, Rose adores Mobius. Rose, we're good again.
We're good. I did finish the boss battle. However, I was the one making the prompts, so I just made them work.
You just made it work, yeah.
I read one book for it.
Ow!
I read MILF for it.
I really wanted to, but that whole week was the week that I had the most work to do to get things ready for them to come here. Because I had to move everything out of this room and the room adjacent to do the renovations, to then move some of the things back in and organize everything and all of that. So it was the biggest, heaviest week for me on that stuff. So it just kind of was like any opportunity that I would have had to read was moving things or being at work and knowing that I could read but not being able to because I was like, I have things that I need to be doing, and then finding something else irrelevant to do that was not helping me with the thing that I needed to do. So that makes sense.
I was reading MILF and I was like, I had my 100 pages done, so I just had to finish it for the second prompt, which was to finish the anticipated book. And slowly my body was getting sore and I was getting chills, and I was like, oh, I'm probably just hungover from last night.
Whoopsies.
It was COVID.
I started the first book and I got the 100 pages, and then it I don't know, I read 3 books last month. So
that's fair.
Anyways. But like, yeah, and then this month I'm almost about to finish my second book, which tells you something about I think maybe we need to be choosing more books that I'm excited about, apparently.
What a concept.
I'm like so fucking close to finishing Atlas Paradox, guys.
Nice. Are you liking that?
I'm liking it a lot.
Good.
I'm liking it a lot. She thoroughly gives, I would say that like the punishment she gives Callum in like the first little chunk of the book is like a wedgie to his soul. That's what I feel like. I feel like you're gonna enjoy that.
That's nice. I love that.
Like his ego got like a super wedgie, you know? So
I love that.
Yeah. It's going really well. And I
had to replace my copy because I pre-ordered it, so it came in the mail and the corner was like all dinged up. So I just like took it into a Barnes and Noble and I was like, hey, can I replace this? They're like, yeah, they're over there.
You fucking ruined it, so I'm holding you accountable for fixing it. Okay.
The guy was cool. He's like, yeah, they're over there on the table. Just pick one. Hey, Doyle. Doyle is here to talk about the boss battle. Doyle read all of the books, and now he would like breakfast.
Doyle, I miss you.
Fluffy snoot. Love it. Do you have any other boss battle thoughts that we want to talk about?
I'll post the rewards in the Discord.
Oh yeah,
but I need to make the things.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, on the topic of zombies, I was really glad we got a whole other episode of Bucky, where even though he dies, we don't have to see him as a zombie.
That's true.
He just kind of dies in the distance. I was like, oh, he made it to the end and then died off screen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like not the worst, you know? Like,
that's fair.
That's funny.
That was like, I was like, okay, you know what, Marvel? Like, you listened to my sensitivities. Like, we get each other.
That's so funny. Yeah, anyways.
Okay, let's move on into the book.
2 seconds, I need to go let the dogs outside.
Which,
I mean, you can go talk, but.
Okay, which, if you were out of the loop, it was My Heart is a Chainsaw, which, if you didn't read it, quick summary would be that it's basically about a girl who is obsessed with slashers and believes that she is now in a slasher scenario in real life.
No, she believes that all of real life is a slasher waiting to happen, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
child, get some therapy.
I don't know. She was kind of like,
She was kind of right.
she wasn't on the money, but she was closer than anybody else. You know?
Right.
Like even in my most crazy Lord of the Rings phase, I was not like, yeah, I am going to find a ring and be called on this grand adventure with an elf and a dwarf. And
I have to say, this is one highly autistic girl. She's like, she took special interest, and she's like, I'm going to take with this concept and run with it to the point that it becomes a delusion. And I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
awesome.
I like the fact that like she was definitely neurodivergent, but he never really like said it. Like he never labeled it. So I think like a lot of people can probably relate to it.
She is a young woman of color, so she's like already really unlikely on two.
She was actually diagnosed,
to actually have someone pay attention to her and go, hey, maybe this child is neurodivergent, instead of, hey, maybe this child is a troublemaker.
But what? Her parents were so involved.
Yeah, right.
They're so loving and kind.
Her dad was just so concerned for her.
Yeah.
What is everybody's rating, or what do you think you're gonna rate it?
4.5.
I gave it 4.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a 4 for me.
It's
if I was more of a like slasher person, like I don't watch horror films. I've never felt interested in watching them, so it's not like I'm like, it doesn't really like, ooh, I want to watch that, you know?
Like I didn't connect to any of the movies they were talking about or anything like that, but I was just so like intrigued by how smart the writing was.
Yeah.
And how like even as someone who didn't know those movies, I still understood what she was trying to like the points she was making and things like that.
Yeah.
The writing was smart.
Yeah, the way that Stephen Graham Jones was able to give context for the different movies in a way that even if you haven't seen them, like you can still understand what's going on and what's going on in Jade's head. Like that was done so well. I love this book. It was one of those things that I started reading it, and granted I only had 2 days to finish it, so I would have had to do this anyways, but like it wasn't a hardship to pick it back up and continue reading.
Agreed.
Right, yeah. So I think I read it in like maybe about 24 hours.
Yeah, I read it. Started it Thursday, and I only read maybe 25 to 50 pages. No, not even 50 pages on Thursday, and I read almost all of it yesterday. And for me, that's an accomplishment.
Right.
This year.
So for context for people watching, my girlfriend Emma is really obsessed with slasher and horror movies. She's like one step away from Jade, just like a bit more grounded in reality, you know? Like she makes
so far.
She makes Scream face or no face earrings from Scream. She sells them. She like her wallet is Michael Myers. She has a Freddy Krueger tattoo all over her arm. Like she is Jade.
Just with a healthier life, apparently.
Much healthier life. There's a little too many similarities, but there's much healthier life. But so part of like dating Emma is watching these movies with her, and I've grown to have an appreciation for them, especially the ones from the 70s and 80s that are like so iconic. Like the gore and the effects are so bad, but it's so fun.
It's the way that Stephen Graham Jones and the way that Jade the way that SGJ has Jade talk about horror movies and how it's like she's like, it's not just like blood and gore, it's about like injustice and revenge and all of these things. And I'm like, I actually kind of want to watch some of these.
That's what I was going to ask. Would you guys now sit back and like maybe turn on Halloween or Scream or something? Just I
think I definitely want to watch Halloween at some point. Then, there are a couple of other ones that I want to watch. I'm not touching anything by Alfred Hitchcock with a 10-foot pole because the man was trash. But
no, I would definitely watch. I think Halloween is really fun because Michael Myers is just like, you almost root for him at some point because he never runs. He never puts any effort into anything. He just walks
really slowly around with his knife and just fucking murders people. Like, it's so calm and collected, and everyone else is freaking out. At some point, you're like, get him, Michael! Like, and Scream is really fun too, because Scream is always making fun of horror movies. Like,
Right.
Scream is like the main character. She's a final girl because she's like, why would I run upstairs and hide in a closet? That's stupid. Like what they do in Halloween. Like it's just it's funny.
I love it. That's
I think,
like,
yeah.
And there's so many moments where I'm like, why would you? Like, I spend most horror movies just going, oh my god, you're so stupid. You're so
like there's a really famous scene in Scream where the character who's obsessed with horror movies is watching Halloween, and it's the scene in Halloween where Jamie Lee Curtis is in a doorway and you can see Michael Myers behind her, and he's like, turn around, Jamie, turn around, for fuck's sake, turn around, and behind him is No Face. And so like, you're gonna be like, oh my god, Randy, turn around. But like, it's just so, and that's what this book felt like to me. So I was like, Emma, you have to read it, you're gonna love it. And so she downloaded it. But I
know this book is fiction, but what was really frustrating about this is that Jade is so smart. Like, she's
really
dumb, but her textual analysis of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
she
I
should be
know what
PhD
she's talking about, and I can tell how smart she is.
Like literature or in media. Like, she should be doing a
like
dissertation.
if she had gotten obsessed with Tolkien if she had done what I did instead of getting obsessed with slashers, her teachers and like friends would have been like, oh my god, she's such a literary genius. Like, if she'd be like, oh, Charles Dickens is the thing.
But that's just because she's in a high school, though. If she was at university, they would say the same thing. Like, because in university, you study fucking whatever you want. Who cares what genre it is, as long as you can make a smart point about it. If she was just in a good media program at a university, she'd be writing a dissertation, and people would be like, "Wow, you're brilliant."
Yeah, film studies. She would do fantastic in film studies.
Yeah, she could put together an amazing slasher because she understands the genre so well.
Right.
Yeah.
She pretty much did. She pretty much casted and produced one.
And she also, if she had had access to the internet, can you imagine? Like, she would have had such a good like media blog.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Derek.
Hi, Derek. So.
I feel like one of the things that I really enjoyed was how many red herrings there were throughout it. It was like, oh, but I hope it's not this person. It can't be, like this whole time, is it them? Is it them?
See, that last red herring, I actually thought would have been a really, really interesting one. And I'm kind of mad about it. But I also understand what the author was doing, I guess. So.
I want to just say that this is such an accurate representation of being in Brianna's house. It's just there's like a swarm of like 3,000 giant dogs around you, and you're like, oh my god, this is like standing with horses. It's awesome. It's like, wow, I'm part of the flock.
Horses are so much bigger.
I have been on a horse, regretfully.
No.
I loved being on a horse.
Fuck horses, man.
Sorry.
Fuck them. You know what?
Well,
what
that's
dogs never
called
do?
bestiality.
No, you know what? I'm not Catherine the Great. You know what dogs never do? Dogs never throw you off your back, so you break your back in the middle of a field and then run away.
It's true.
Dogs have never done that.
This feels specific to a certain situation with your breeder.
Yeah. The horse they just leave you there. That's the thing. They don't love you the way your dogs do. I understand that horses are the only animal that compares in human history to like domestication wise to dogs, like the working relationship and stuff. But they can't love you the same way your dog does. Because if you got like injured and you were like left like that, your dog would fucking stay with you. They would do something. They try to problem solve. They're so intensely loyal. Your horse would just be like, bye. Like,
I don't. My horse would throw me off and then come back.
Yeah, it depends on like what spooks them. Because they are a prey animal, so they're fight or flight.
Cowardly bitches.
Oh, for sure. Most of it's just because they can't see very well.
Yeah.
You know what? Weak. You know what network would do that? Your dog.
I once saw
Anyway,
someone
my heart is a chainsaw.
horses as couches with anxiety, and I was like, that is the most accurate description I've ever heard.
Well,
So, anyways,
I'm not putting my life on the line for a fucking couch with anxiety.
All right. Are we ready to move into some spoilers?
Yeah.
We are.
All right, so tell me what happens at the end, because I'm 83% of the way through the audiobook, which Brianna says means I'm actually more like 90% of the way through. Because
if you would have just stayed up like 10 more minutes, you probably would have been finished.
It was NyQuil. Do you understand that I fell asleep with my lights on, my laptop open and playing, like my book was beside me, like this was everything was it wasn't
You'd had no power.
There was no decision making.
I feel like we should tell Cal everything about the ending except who the actual killer is, just because it will make him in.
Yeah, but he'll finish in 5 minutes.
So much happens.
I think I know who the killer is, though.
So, I don't know.
Like, it's not Theo Mondragon, obviously. That's like too much of a red herring, right?
So,
is it?
What if there were two?
Well, and is it Holmes? It's Holmes. It's the history teacher, right?
So what it ends up being is Theo Mondragon is on a killing spree that we never get an explanation for.
Right, which
that's my one problem with it. I don't understand why did we need to, and then it's what's her face? What is her name? Oh my God, hold on. No, it's I wish it was Letha. I wish it was a father-daughter slasher team. That was gonna be.
Is it Stacey Graves?
Stacey Graves.
Yeah.
Stacey Graves come back from the dead. And like that was really interesting in like the supernatural element.
But I knew that was going to happen because it's called the Lake Witch Killing series. Okay. So I was like, obviously it's Stacey Graves.
Yeah. And that it makes a lot like that's, and so it's one of those things. If this had been a standalone, I would have had a conniption at the end of that book, because not only is it two slashers, and then we never get a really good explanation for Theo's stuff. Like it's just he's out there killing people, which I don't we needed more exploration of him, especially if we're revisiting Stacey Graves.
I disagree on the premise that I don't think that. Okay, so I don't think there has to be a good reason, because one of the whole things about Halloween, and she talks about Halloween so much, the fact that she literally wears the coveralls and the mask, the Michael Myers mask, like Halloween and Scream are the two that she's like really keeps coming back to, and I guess A Nightmare on Elm Street is Michael Myers. His whole thing starts off because he kills his sister, right? Like she's babysitting him. She has sex with a guy and leaves him unattended. So he goes up and he's like 6 and he murders her. Then he goes to an asylum for a bunch of years and he comes out and he just goes on a killing rampage, killing babysitters. There's no good reason. He's not getting revenge on Jamie Lee Curtis. She's just a babysitter. Like,
let me rephrase that. We are never given any sort of motivation for why Theo is doing what he's doing. That's
my motivation.
I don't care how dumb the reason is.
Isn't that scarier though? Isn't it scarier when there isn't like Freddy Krueger? Okay, it's scary, yes. Like he's getting revenge on a specific group of people. So if you're not in that group of people, it's kind of like, oh.
So this is something that may end up coming back in future books. So I didn't dock it too much for it, but like I think that Stacey Graves' spirit or something is inhabiting people in some way, because you had that girl that ate someone, like that kind of thing. But it still was one of those things that I was like, why did we need 2 slashers in this story if like it was like we could have done red herrings without having to tap 2 killers, if that makes sense. So that was a flaw for me. And then there's a whole epilogue type thing where she's stopping a forest fire, and that felt just so weird and tacked on. It's like, I guess this could have implications in later books, maybe. But it was just weird to have that moment after it's like her trying to escape.
The little thing with the bears made sense, but the fire.
I like that we brought it back to the bears.
Yeah, that was cute.
And I'm wondering if maybe there's going to be more to do with the big trash bear. But
I really just appreciated in general the consistent bringing that analogy or that idea back up throughout that we kept seeing the bears and the elk situation over and
Yeah, that was really
like it wasn't just at the beginning that imagery was used. It was used for the whole book.
Like, okay, so here's another thing that I'm not sure, because she at the end states that what's his face was in fact actually killed by a bear, and I'm like, okay, okay. Like, then it makes less sense that Theo is going on this murderous rampage. If it's like, I could have seen it if it was trying to cover up another crime. Anyways, it was weird to me.
The part with her dad is the thing that really gets me, though. Is like, how is that going to resolve?
That felt so tacked on. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we could have explored that a little bit more. But I don't understand how, knowing what her mom knows about what the dad did, how she left her daughter there.
Yeah.
That was the worst character. Like, the dad sucks, but the mom is the worst character.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I can kind of like, because she mentions that she thinks he was blacked out when it happened and he didn't entirely know what he was doing. So, like, I feel like it is worse to know your child is with a dangerous person and leave them than it is to actually be that dangerous person.
Exactly.
Well, at some point, in this specific situation.
Right. In that specific situation, I agree.
Because, like, it is that does track. There's a lot of cases of the molestation of their child being, and this is something I know because of some stuff I know about sex trafficking and the sex offender list and all that. Like, like, it's a terrible thing for someone to do, and it doesn't excuse it, but like that being their one thing, and then feeling super bad about it, and then like going, oh, this is a wake-up call, turning their entire life around and being able to rebuild their relationship with their child. Obviously, her dad didn't do this.
Context, we know the mom has the power.
Yeah.
They're in a town where, like, the indigenous population is the minority of them, and the mom being the white woman in this scenario absolutely would have the power of, like, social, like, the society to take her kid out of that situation and get whatever she wants. Like, you know what I mean? If she never wanted that guy to see her kid again, she could have made that happen.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like it's the flip side where she's the outsider.
And it's the fact that she didn't even take her with her. She didn't even take Jade with her when she left. She left Jade in that toxic, unsafe situation.
Environment.
And because obviously, even if that was a one-time thing, his
no, he was constantly putting in her even if for him, he's constantly putting in like about to happen again.
Right. So, like, it was definitely a choice on the mom's part. She just decided she didn't want to be a parent anymore.
Yeah, right. That I can understand when you don't have choices and you're not able to do that, but like,
but in this case, that wasn't like it wasn't.
It wasn't, and like, I don't understand how she left her. I don't.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it plays back to the whole thing in like a lot of slasher horror films, like the parent is just awful. Well, and that's kind of the whole, like, I think it was kind of connected to Scream in that way, because in Scream, Sydney's mother, before the movie begins, Sydney's mother is raped and killed, and you never know, like, they never catch who did it. They just found her dead. And so, like, they're targeting Sydney because of that, right? Like, because of the connection to the mother. So it's like this, I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis's character has a mom. I don't know if she does.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of a trope of that genre that either parents are absent or awful people.
Yeah.
And
or
like connected to the murderer in some way.
Yeah.
Like, Jamie Lee Curtis's dad, the only connection to her and the killer in Halloween is that he's selling the killer's old house. Like, that's it. That's the only connection. Like, there's no.
As someone who works with people who are like that population. Like I see the case plans and stuff for that all the time. Like the situations you see the most is if it either mom was not there at the beginning, so like she pieced out really early on or had rights removed really on, or mom is still in the toxic relationship, and that's what puts the child, like most of the time when you have parents who are actually like moms that are actually aware of what's happening and able to admit what happened, which clearly her mom is, they get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so it was one of the, I'm just like this, anyways, it was
Yeah.
really sad for her. Her mom should have, yeah.
It does make a lot of sense that given the context of her upbringing, Jade would find a lot of comfort in the idea of attaching to a final girl who could like, get her out of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting that multiple times people assumed that Jade wasn't the hero of
Including Jade.
Including Jade.
Including herself. Multiple times it's you know, she's not, it's assumed that, oh, this person did it, that person did it. Even with Rexall, who doesn't scream hero to me, just in vibes alone, I'm not sure why it would have been assumed that it was him.
How would anyone have, like, how if they weren't hearing from Misty Christie that her daughter got saved, how would anyone know who did it in the first place? Like, I don't.
Right.
Anyway, I spent so much of this book going, "Girl, you are the final girl.
You're the final girl. I know.
Exactly.
Oh my girl."
That's another reason, though, why she reminded me so much of Emma, because, like, you know, like the whole main character energy thing. Emma's like, I don't have main character energy. I have extra energy. It's like Emma.
No, I have extra energy, girl.
No, like extra, like a side, like an unpaid.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's Emma's like, that's what I am in the movie of life. Like, I'm not a main character. So but I was just like, Jade, babe, like you are the final girl. Like you.
You're the one that keeps. It's like, ma'am, you're the one that keeps finding the bodies.
Yeah.
You're the one going through this whole transformation.
She's the Sydney final girl, though. She's not the Laurie Strode final girl. She's more like the Scream, where it's like, I'm too smart for this. Like, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah. I do think it would have been a really fun twist if Letha had been.
I'm kind of glad, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of glad that, like, the only black.
Yeah, I understand why he didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, and I like they even like she kind of goes through that as a possible option. She's like, she can't be the killer. She's the final girl.
And I kind of appreciate that she wasn't, though, because it would have been so hard on Jade to have opened herself up to someone and like started to trust them, even though she didn't want to let herself believe that she trusted her. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
I was really happy that
so
did not
hard.
get actually killed.
I mean, Jade was already second guessing every person in her life.
Right.
You know, even the people that she trusted the most. But like, if even one of them had truly been proven to have been that person, you know, it would have been really, I think, like a nail in a coffin for Jade's, you know, trust.
I was really sad that the only person that actually cared about her ended up dying.
I know.
Yeah.
Also, like, we all had a teacher like that where we were turning in nonsense and they were like, you have a hard home life, A+.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I know that I handed in some creative writing projects where teachers would have been like, oh dear, okay.
Well, like, and that's the thing, like what she was writing, even though it was very, very informal, it was good stuff. Like it might not necessarily like the fact that she thought to do history about local legends and like slasher stuff instead of doing just like some boring old report about the mines, like that is like I would have been like A++ for
That's what I'm
like,
telling you. Her stuff is
Right.
beyond high school and undergraduate. Like she's at a master's.
It really
level.
is,
She's,
yeah.
like, really
And
big.
like
I
I
would
was
say-
like, well, you know what? This kid is enjoying digging. Like you really like. It's one of those situations where like you just go with what the kid. If this is what's getting the kid invested in history,
right.
okay, let's
Right.
find some more of that.
Exactly. She found what she connected with and that she enjoyed and like tied her interest with the subject. And I really appreciate that because like, in some situations you're forced to study like certain things and that doesn't click with you or work with you, in the same way that, if you were allowed a little bit more freedom to like delve into an area that, so I appreciate that he gave her that leeway to, focus on what helped her and gave her an outlet rather than, if she had to study something else, then it could, a lot of areas in history could have made, made her state.
I definitely like. I would have encouraged that more and been more like, okay, so like this is what really interests you. Where else can we go and find local history that is weird like this?
Or the history of the horror genre. Like go for it. Like
Well, I
why
think
is
his
it
class
really
was specifically supposed to be like
state history?
state history and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like I
Is that
understand
a
like to
course?
some extent he had to be like, hey, it can't just be about the movies. But I would have been like, hey, it can't be about the movie, but let's find some state history that's really weird and messed up like that. Like, what is some state history that applies?
But also, like, did you have to take a Florida history course? Because we only ever had to do Canadian history. We never had to do Ontario history.
We primarily okay. So there are some. I think it depends on state. I didn't because I was homeschooled.
I did California history, but it was in middle school.
But I do know that like
that makes more sense, right? Like
Yeah.
as like a social studies unit almost.
I mean, no, it was history, but like California has so many the missions and the Catholic, like the churches and stuff like that. So it's more that.
And like gold rush too.
The gold, yeah. California has a lot of state history, and I think Texas does a state history class too. But I think that
Texas does a state history class.
There's some states that just like don't really have history.
We did our state history in 4th and 5th grade.
You did do Tennessee history?
Yeah, we do Tennessee history in like 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah.
Tennessee has the best history of the entire Civil War.
Right. Yeah, we have much history.
No, I'm talking about like states like Kansas.
What are you talking about? Bloody Kansas?
That's true.
Kansas has such
so like is that an entire semester of a class?
I would spend but I'm a historian also, so you say like some states have no history. I'm like,
but like at a fifth grade level, do they have history?
If they were to acknowledge the actual history of the state that they could teach,
that's true. That's also a thing because they also will whitewash all of their history. So at
that
point, there's no history.
So like you're right, Kansas doesn't have history that is going to be palatable to the people in charge of deciding what classes you get.
Good point. Yeah, because like I don't know enough about. Thank you, Alex. I don't know enough about Idaho to say Idaho state history. But I feel like
I am 100% certain that the only Idaho state history that they teach is going to be LDS.
Like, who is it? Is it?
And I'm actually kind of, I almost wish there was an LDS character in there because Idaho Falls has a very large Mormon population.
Oh
and
my
I just
God.
like it would have been so great if the killer was LDS.
There's books 2 and 3. What was I saying? Oh, there's a gentleman or a professor that I follow that teaches medieval history, and he's in like Indiana, I think. And so, he actually is like, listen, like when he does medieval history, he does a few classes or a section of that class on medieval history in Indiana because he's like, listen, there were people here in the Middle Ages. This was not empty land. We're going to talk about
the Middle Ages was only medieval in Europe. I mean, like fucking other societies had like good times going on,
right?
We're dealing with
dirty, terrible for everyone.
But we can only talk about the white people.
The people who fucked it up.
You can only talk about things Europe cared about at the time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, I really like he is doing a lot to be like, hey, listen, we shouldn't just ignore this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, history is way too white, and I am in a position to stop that.
What did y'all think about his speech at the graduation? That was a moment.
That was a moment.
That was a moment, man. I was just
The man went off. I was like, go for it, Mr. Holmes. You go, Mr.
Like, I appreciate that you are using a platform, but at the same time, that also makes the rest of this ceremony really awkward for the kids who are trying to get their diploma.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be about.
I think a lot of the people that were in his audience and on that platform probably agreed with him in regards to Terra Nova and all of that stuff, because they are coming in and gentrifying this area.
I liked that as a that whole aspect
That was
as
a
a
very
subplot
very good
was
subplot.
very smart. Yeah.
Very realistic too.
Mm-hmm.
So, although I don't know that I would be cool living on a yacht for as long as they were.
I'm just confused as to where that lake is because there's not a lake that big in Idaho Falls.
Well, I
weren't
think she
you,
was a little bit outside Idaho Falls, like it was a 3-hour drive or something. But listen, we can if we can bring a dead girl back from the dead and make her a lake witch, we can pretend like there's another lake in Idaho.
That's fair.
So we can.
I always do that with books that are set in places that I know. I'm like, but where does this? What are you actually talking about?
Because I do believe this is a fictional town. So
no, I know, but they do say something about Ammon and Idaho Falls, so I know that they're right in that area.
Yeah. Hold on, I actually want to see. Is this a real lake?
There are lakes that are outside of that, but
fantasy.
Okay, there is not an Indian lake. Let's see, is there an Indian lake in Idaho? Huh.
There's probably an Indian lake in every fucking little town.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now I don't
know a rare lake name.
Yeah. But I don't even Bear Lake I wouldn't say is big enough to put 3 islands with houses on it.
Oh, were they doing I thought it was just on the other side of the lake.
No, they were islands.
Yeah, because they needed boats to get there. There was no.
Because there is one there, but that's it. I was apparently very confused as to the geography of this place. Because I thought it was one side of the lake versus the other side of the lake.
No, they were doing 3 islands where it was one was going to be houses, one was going to be a community space, and then one was going to be for nature.
Weird. That's okay.
Because the other side of the lake was the camp.
Yeah, true. I just pulled down the camp, Nobody wants to remember it's there. I was expecting that to be a place that we spent more time in. I will be honest.
The camp?
Yeah.
I agree. I would and I'm hoping that maybe in book 2.
I think
maybe that's where it's set.
It's called Camp Blood.
Right, yeah.
It's coming.
At some point in the series, maybe for the grand finale.
Right? That's we're not just putting Camp Blood there and
just leaving it.
I honestly was expecting Sheriff Hardy to make it to the end, and because there's a sequel, because that girl would be really really good as working with crime units. I'm sorry, she has an eye for detail and she understands things that I think a lot of people forget.
Well, I wonder where it'll end up because obviously
she's in jail.
Well, and she hasn't graduated high school either.
Yeah. So,
where is her story going? Because it's
not over yet.
Yeah.
Where's
Ruby, come here. Come on, Briar.
Also, speaking of graduating and that final conversation with Mr. Holmes, I feel like the triggers were handled, every element that could be
So well.
triggering
Yeah.
was handled extremely well. Like it was there enough that you could feel it, but not enough that it could really.
Like the way that the reveal
Right.
with her dad is done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
it's very it's tactfully done in a way that isn't.
like you get a good idea of what happened without him going into detail about it.
Mhm.
Like,
Same
you
with suicide. I think that
Yeah,
because that could have been really upsetting.
exactly. That those were the ones that for me personally was like stood out as like, wow, this is intense but well done in a way that's not overly descriptive. It's not, dragging you through it, in
he's not like,
a way that's like
and I
overwhelming.
like I think it shows a consciousness of him being like, this is not like, I've never been in this position. I've never been a 14-year-old who's had this, 14-year-old girl and had this happen to her. But
So you can't really describe it from that.
yeah, it's like,
Right.
I really like, I appreciated that. I thought that was
Too, it gives you the context of what's happening, and it gives you that, knowledge of the character without, trying to put you through it. Or trying to, just give you emotional,
he wasn't doing it for the shock factor. It genuinely was. This
exactly.
is what happened to the character.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I
and
honestly
really
do think that if
appreciate
she would have found something to be that obsessed about without.
Mhm.
Then I believed her when she said that.
Yeah.
So. So, but it was. I mean, it was. Really, I loved it. It was very good, and I don't know. I kind of. I liked. Didn't really mind the blood and the gore because I'm just that person.
I never do.
It's like, oh, that's
I don't feel like it was too graphic.
No.
Which is good.
I don't know. It was her jaw open in a never-ending scream. I mean, that's pretty fucking gross.
Okay.
that last bit,
Right, but it wasn't like, it wasn't excessive. Like there wasn't like they weren't just doing gore for the sake of having gore.
It was,
which I think some slashers kind of lean too heavily into.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Also,
more than it was coming. It was like the third act body reveal is about to happen. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing. Like this entire thing kind of felt like this like almost academic look at the slasher genre in a fictionalized version.
Yeah. And then it also like the fact that people were showing up like at the end, that people were losing their jaws and stuff made sense because of what happened with Stacey Graves,
Right.
So that was, I thought, like a lot of stuff, like so much stuff connected really well. I think that's why I was so disappointed to not have at least some semblance of a connection for Theo Mondragon doing what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I like Michael Myers. I still haven't read that.
Like I like the concept of him. I just wish we had been, even if it was like a stupid reason, I would have liked to have been given like some idea why he did what he did.
No, Kippy, come back.
Well, and we might get that. Like that might end up being the basis of book 2.
So, anyways, well, he died.
Right, but I mean, like they might like still discuss.
Find some more of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if Letha is in the next book. Just considering that, like, girl has so much money.
Right.
I knew Shooting Glasses wasn't dead though.
Yeah.
That was when he came out of the water. I'd actually kind of forgotten about it, but when he came out of the water, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. No body, no crime.
That was one thing that was not my favorite, was the back and forth on dead or not dead. Was like, I feel like too many times it was like, oh, they're dead. Oh wait, they're still a little bit alive. You know?
See, for me, it was one of those things that it made sense because my girl was so busy getting caught up in the idea that it is a horror or slash that she's living through, she's not going through and checking through things the way that she should have. Like,
For sure.
that is the only reason. Like, I think if a lot of stuff would have been prevented if she had actually gone and checked through. Like, if instead of like going with Lisa, if she'd been like, hey, I need to like check out the lake and see if she can find him, she would have been able to take that to the police, you know, or to sheriff parties. So it's one of those things that like you have to have a flaw that the character is missing in order for the plot to progress in a lot of these. Like, they have to be missing some piece, and having that be kind of an intentional piece was really interesting, because she's like, oh, I'm so prepared for this, and at the same time it was like, no, because you don't think you're the person, you're not going into this the way you should.
You know what I want to know is what Lisa knows that we don't, that made her so willing to believe that it may have been possible that it was her dad. Like, she has to know something that would have made her question it enough and trust Jade enough. Because, like, for me, you know, if anybody were to ever say something that my dad would be very different than.
I mean, it could just be as simple as her dad having anger management issues.
Like, right. I want to know what she knows. I want to know what she knows.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I remember what it was. It's speculation. I don't think it's proven. I completely forgot about that plot point, but Jade posits that he actually is why Mr. Holmes crashed. And the 3 construction workers were the ones. That reminds me why. Okay, never mind. Forget that I said anything about Theo Mondragon not having good motivations. That makes sense. Anyway.
Oh my god.
No, that's Raya, I think.
I love her.
Oh, is it Kippy?
Yeah.
It's the pause and the head back for me. Just yeah.
I love how she's like, okay, fine. You know what? I want some scratches, so I'll come over to your sick bed, Mom. Dad.
But also, can we go do something?
I know, Kippy. I know. You haven't done anything for weeks.
I mean, at least at some point you'll be well enough. Once you start feeling better, even if you're still positive, you'll be able to like go outside somewhere with her.
Well, Alex has taken her to the soccer field a couple of times.
Oh, good.
But she wants to work though. She doesn't want to be bored. She wants to work.
Poor Kippy.
What
Girl, take a vacation.
Cassie says, "No, I'm a working gal."
But call me a working boo.
What else is there to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
I don't have any other thoughts.
Have you guys read any other Stephen Graham Jones?
No, but I really want to read The Last Final Girl after this.
Yeah, I haven't read anything. I've been eyeing The Only Good Indians because Thor loved it so much, and Bear over at Etu Brody loved it. So, like,
just know that there's some animal abuse in that one. That's the only reason I've stayed away from that one.
Do you know that it doesn't unless it's like a nicely bred dog?
Huh?
Like excessive animal abuse for no reason bothers me. Like that scene in Grey Sister. But in general, if you're like, oh yeah, and then the mutt got hit by a car, I'd be like, well, what kind of dog was it? Like, do I have?
Was it being dumb?
Yeah, like
I'm not sure exactly what it is. Someone just like because that's a trigger for me, and someone told me that. So I was like, oh.
When I read it, I can tell you. But no, I have a heightened. I'm very aware that things are fictional when I am reading books and stuff. So like, even if it's something there, it's very rare that something is upsetting enough in a book that like is actually violent that it upsets me.
Right.
Like I'll be upset that a character I got attached to dies, but that's a.
I read Night of the Mannequins last month, and I didn't like it that much, and I felt like their writing style was so different. Like this book was so smart. That book, like, and I know that one's a novella too, so like that could also have had some reasoning.
Is that also by
it.
Stephen Graham Jones?
Huh?
Was that also by Stephen Graham Jones?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why, like, going into this one, I was actually a little bit nervous because I was like, oh, Night of the Mannequins just didn't, like, it didn't feel complete. It never felt like they really, like, did anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was very surface level. And so that's why this one just feels so, like, the writing style is very different.
Yeah.
I was just
That's-
curious.
That's true talent, though.
I want to read Last Final Girl because it's very clear though that he has like put so much thought into the horror, like the different tropes. So I'm like, oh, that could be fun.
Yeah,
That's
for
cool.
sure.
But yeah, I think this is like, I don't know, like how you couldn't do this for every novel you wrote because Jade is such a distinct voice. Like she's
Right.
so
He did so well at writing an angry teenage girl.
yeah,
Which,
And
like,
like-
not a lot of men can do.
neurodivergent girl.
Oh yeah, he did such a good job at that. And I was just like, Mr. Jones, you I don't know how you pulled this off, but you must have been listening to somebody.
Yeah.
He understood his character very well. That was really clear the whole time. Is that she's an unreliable narrator in the best way. Like
Yeah.
And he nailed the voice though. That's
Yeah.
my thing. He nailed the voice so well. That I was just like, wow.
I wonder if it's like method acting, where like you know what I mean? Like, do you think he was just like really angsty and like special interesty about horror movies for like the year he was writing this? You know?
I wonder, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of writers that are like that, so
Like, I don't know how you would get into her head so like that otherwise, because not many books have that same level of like getting into the head
Right.
way.
yeah.
My baby.
Okay, are we ready to move into announcements?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a very
There's December.
So, as you guys know, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time for us to take a step back from this project. So, there's no beef, no problems, no drama. Throwing that out there now. That's
hate Margaret.
totally irrelevant. There's no.
I'm serious, like the abuse in my DMs from Cal. I'm gonna come out about it right now. The abuse in my DMs from Cal because I dare like another dog breed more than golden retrievers.
True. Yeah, and even though that nobody else in this group likes golden retrievers as their favorite breed either, I
It's
only
only specifically Margaret.
yeah,
Even though she's the one that literally can't be around them. Because she won't
you
be
guys
able to
could
breathe.
own the Margaret can't, but I'm still gonna blame her.
Margaret, it's all your fault that you have allergies.
No, I've been I'm in therapy because of that.
But no, I mean we've just like we've had a lot of fun doing this.
We have had a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of fun. We've also taken it as far as I think we can at this point.
Yeah.
It's starting, I think, to feel cyclical, and that's a good I think a good sign that it's time to
Step back.
like for the creative integrity, move on to new things and come up with new ideas that are more authentic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more exciting to us at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
I know some of us are not the most thrilled with Marvel movies I haven't seen yet.
Well, and that's the thing. Like this next phase of Marvel is we don't really know where it's going, and so it's really hard for us to create content around it when we don't know. Like obviously, up until Endgame, we knew where it was going when we started.
So we had a lot of fun planning the whole
We
arc.
could plan from start to finish, but right now there's no way to plan that next phase.
right.
Plus, your girl wants to do an Eras readathon, so
Yeah. And that's not to say that we're, disappearing. There's, the chat will still be available.
Discord will still be there.
Yeah, you can continue to do the boards and continue to use it. Like redo it old events if you want as inspiration.
And there might be a time where like we do get excited about a project and do like a pop-up boss battle.
Right.
Yeah.
But we realized after the first year that doing as much as we were doing was not sustainable. But even this year, it's still, even though we cut back significantly, I think we've all realized that it's not sustainable to do multiple in 1 year.
At least the way that yeah, the way that we've set it up, just because it is so involved, it's not like something that we can do all year, every year, and not have it impact. And like when you're having to plan all of your creative projects around one thing,
Exactly.
and it's not even your job, like it gets a little bit more
right. It makes it hard for us to do other projects on our own channels, or to mix this with other readathons and things like that. It's hard to participate in other readathons when not only are we participating in this one, but creating it,
planning it,
right? Like actually putting it together and then participating in it is a lot. So it's not to say that there's not a possibility that we pop back in with something maybe once a year.
They start making good Marvel movies again.
Or for like the ones that we like, you know what I mean? Like I would love to create a thing for Thor, Love and Thunder, but I have no interest in doing anything for Doctor Strange too. Like I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me out for that,
And I think that us cutting back is also going to make the content that we do put out when we do decide at some point, if we choose to, if we come back to doing something, it's going to make it more exciting because we'd be more invested in it, rather than it feeling like we're scrambling to come up with something different than we've done before.
Rather than it starting to feel like a second job.
Right, because at this point, we're limited on what we're able to do because of our schedules. First of all, second of all, because what we're trying to do, we're trying to make it as exciting as possible, and it's hard to do that when you haven't given yourself time enough to even
Well,
or
and if you think about it, we did 20, like in the past 2 years, we've done 24 plus boss battles.
Right.
At some point, it starts to feel like we've done everything.
Done this before.
Like, even when we were creating boards, we would be like, oh, we've used that prompt before. Oh, we've done that before. And so it just got to the point that.
So I think we said we're doing Hawkeye, and then what's the group book?
The group book is going to be Love Beyond Body, Space, and Time. It's an anthology of short stories by indigenous authors. It's on Kindle Unlimited and on Scribd. So if you have any of those. And I think possibly Hoopla too. And it's only like 150 pages. So for those of you trying to knock out end of year reading goals.
Oh, nice.
But the Discord chat will still be available, so you can still have your conversations there, because it's hard to find a Marvel space that's comfortable and it doesn't
on that note, though, there is just as a shout out, a few of the people have done Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. readathon that they're going to be doing next year, and they have our full support and blessing. They did come to us prior and we want to do this next year.
Yes. But it'll be more of a shift from a challenge to just a community space.
Where y'all can talk about Marvel and books.
Yeah, and the if you want to host your own, hey, I want to watch this. Anybody want to watch it with me? That kind of stuff is totally going to be available to be done on there. So that's that. Do we have any other announcement-y things that we need to say? I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. I think that's it.
And I am going to put the timestamp for this, the announcements section in the announcements of our Discord, so that people who weren't able to watch live can come back and watch.
I'd like to reiterate that this all happened because we caught Margaret cheating on her wife with a staff member at a Harry Styles concert.
Wait, what wife? I have a wife?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Margaret's this is news to me.
If you're gonna cheat on your wife,
you're telling me that I didn't have to be miserable and alone?
Yeah. She was there the whole time.
Explains why I cheated on her. I didn't know.
And so that this did break up our company, and that's why we're ending.
Yeah, we're not.
Way to
we're
be a
not,
try guy.
Oh, no.
We're not the try guys. We don't have the ability to keep things going without
Yeah,
me.
no, we don't have the funds.
All of that stuff I've been bankrolling, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's nice when it ends with no drama and we can all continue to collaborate together in the future, just on different projects.
Yep.
Right. That's the good part, I feel like, is that not every project or like thingy thing will end, where everyone's like, oh, this is fine. Like if you let things go on too long too, it can also build like tension between people if you start, disagreeing about, creative ideas and stuff. So we've never had that kind of drama, which I appreciate.
We're ending in a good space.
Yeah, everybody's happy. We just need more room in our lives for new things, and yeah. Yeah, that's one thing for me. Like, I already struggle with getting videos up as it is, like, consistently. I have intentions and then life. You know what I mean?
Fair.
But like combine that with like all of my ideas are like, I'm getting to the point where most of my ideas that I have are like long-term projects that I can't really do. Because like combine trying to prep for a boss battle with my family moving in, and it's like something's got to give.
Right.
So, yeah.
And also finding time, like with all of our schedules right now, to
Mhm.
plan a boss battle and boards and all of that. So
Right. Yeah, that's really what it is like there's so much like behind the scenes time that we have to, and like because before you can make the boards, you have to, refamiliarize yourself enough with the characters and like prep yourself, if it's especially characters that are like more, it's not, we're not on the main kids anymore. It's
Anybody can come up with a board
to the side people.
Well, I think it's funny because if you think back to the very beginning when we were coming up with like the original 6 and we did those boards in like 20 minutes.
I know.
It was so fast. And then now we like sit there being like, can we think of 9 prompts for
part of it is like not only is it a side character, but it's also we're trying not to repeat prompts.
I mean, you have to. No, wait, it was 2021. Also, I do want to mention, because I know this has happened before without Thor's knowledge, but Thor is aware that this is the last year.
Yes.
Is not able to make it today. Or something came up. So, but Thor is.
We've all had
with us on this.
Yeah,
we've all had conversations
prior to.
We that was the last meeting. We were like, so guys, how you feeling about this? And we were all like, hey, we're all kind of feeling pretty, yeah. So,
yeah, like I said, it's like we love doing it, but we can't.
I wouldn't change it for the world, like the past.
Right. I think the way that it's gone has been pretty perfect.
We did a really
Even
good
with taking a couple months off here and there this year, I think that was helpful for us to be able to recognize, that we've run our course for the time being on it.
Yeah.
Clearly, I've worked so hard; it gave me COVID. Clearly.
But yeah, like I said, I will put the timestamp for this in the chat or in the announcements, so that people can kind of pop in. So try not to be like all in the chat, so that people can like.
Oh, don't worry, I'll do it right now.
Find out what's happening.
Here, I'll do it right now.
Just so that everybody can like be on the page without being like misinformed about it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if
Announcements,
we all just start like saying blah 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 blah, just like reference them back to, hey, there's a timestamp.
Here's where it is on the
personal drama between Margaret and I. Avengers have been canceled.
Oh no.
I feel like if that were the case, what's going on with Hawkeye?
Yeah, like we're
I'm just gonna see what that does for a little bit.
You're starting chaos.
Now
Yeah,
you're starting
that's
to
really
I'm
appropriate.
realizing that even now we can't be not chaotic.
Yeah, exactly.
We still wake up and choose chaos. Even
Rose,
now.
I really appreciate your comment. Rose says that she really hopes none of us feel any kind of guilt about ending it.
Yeah.
I thank you. It is like, it's sad when you know that people look forward to it and are having fun, and it's like
I
gets
know
people
that was hard.
reading. Yeah.
Zero guilt on this end.
Well, it's not guilt in that like I'm taking my time back for myself. It's like it's more like bittersweet.
It's like like end of an era type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kippy.
Sorry, there's a Taylor Swift quote for that. Anyways,
Of course there's a Taylor Swift quote for that.
yeah, there is. It's in a song.
I know. All right. Well, I think that's everything we got for now. Don't we're still doing Hawkeye. We're still doing like
Yeah,
Still
we are.
doing Hawkeye.
Because
We'll put it
that's the
together.
other bisexual chaos show of there's three. That's the third bisexual chaos show. Actually, let's just be real. That's the sapphic chaos show.
yes.
Yeah. Except that I think that actually that they're gonna put Yelena and Buffy together.
Well, because I mean, what is Marvel if not queer baiting?
What is Marvel if not
be
queer baiting?
mad
Also
at it,
that
but
Buffy and Black Widow are together in the comics, and
Right.
if they
I
can't
know.
do the Nat romance, they're like, wait a minute, we've made him too gay. Who's the hottest woman we could possibly?
I saw something the other day that said Florence Pugh is like the Ryan Reynolds, but for women, and even the straight women are gay for her. And I was like, "You're not wrong."
No, she's perfect. Like she,
Right.
speaking of Yelena, my text tone for my sister is now, if I can find it. Hang on.
don't click stuff. Don't. That's out of bounds. Don't
Kel's
click.
just gonna leave the chat.
That has happened before.
It has.
Okay, are you ready? Are you? Here we go. This is my text tone for my sister now. Did you hear it? Can you hear it? Let me do it again.
Yes, we heard it.
And then also and my ringtones for various situations are and also I have
That's great.
and finally because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do with your money? You're not
Buy ringtones I don't need.
buy
Exactly.
ringtones.
Exactly.
Oh. Mistakes have been made.
All right. Well,
Anyways,
I think that's it.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. Make sure you go down to the links below if you somehow have made it this far into the readathon and are not subscribed to every single one of us.
Are we linked down below?
How? But yes, below.
That's commitment.
And yes, we will see you again when we talk about more
Wordy nerdy things.
Ready? Bye.
Bye.